Hey guys, welcome back to Union City CDJR, and today we have a 2020 Dodge Challenger in the RT trim level, and today we're going to find out, is this the value muscle car in the American industry? This specific Challenger is a 2020 Challenger RT, as I said, with a base price of $34,995 and a total MSRP of $38,380 before any type of market adjustment. Looking at the window sticker here, it says we have a city MPG of 16 and a highway MPG of 25 with a combined of 19. In general, a muscle car is not the most fuel efficient car you want to buy, but who cares when you're buying a muscle car? You buy it for the power. So let's take a look at what's powering this beast. This Challenger features a 5.7 liter V8, part of the Hemi family of FCA vehicles, and this one makes 372 horsepower and 400 pound-feet of torque, which is more than plenty for a two-door muscle car as this, even as heavy as the Challenger really is. Unlike the competition, the Challenger RT comes standard with projector halogen headlights, which puts it behind the rest of the competition. I think in general all new vehicles should come with LED headlights, but sometimes cost cuts have to be made, and this platform is not the newest. It is a very old platform dating back to the early 2000s, so I will excuse the projector halogens, but I mean that should be an easy change anyway, so it's not the end of the world, nor is it a deal breaker for this car. Around to the side view of this vehicle, this one has a beautiful pitch black paint color, which is the actual name of it, with these alloy wheels. I think this is one of the best specs that you can get on a Challenger RT. And with the black, it can give you the ability to wrap it any color that you really want to. So I think if I was going to get a muscle car, I would get it in black with some alloy wheels anyway. Now, coming over here to the back, it looks like we have LED taillights, and all cars come with a standard backup camera now. So I think that's really good, and especially in a car like this where visibility is kept to a minimum. So let's see with all the lights in action. So here we go with all the lights in action. You see we have an LED brake light up top. We have LED brake and turn signals integrated into the same assembly over here, which is a Dodge thing. Same thing over here. And around the back, actually, we have a really nice deck lid spoiler, which in most vehicles what you see is a very small deck lid spoiler, but in this, I think it's actually really cool that a muscle car like this comes with a larger spoiler compared to its other siblings, such as the Mustang, which come with a tiny little lip spoiler. I think if you're going to buy a muscle car, it has to have a presence, which is something that's very unique to the Dodge Challenger in this generation. Features and everything are really cool for a muscle car and a car in general that's new in 2020, 2021. I think even if you're buying a muscle car that you can use for fun, it's also important to buy a car that you can use practically. You never know when you need to put stuff, which is where the Challenger actually really doesn't disappoint. It's the largest muscle car in this segment compared to the Mustang and the Camaro, which gives it a very key advantage in the practicality aspect. The trunk is uncomparable to the other two. The Mustang and the Camaro, both while they have respectable sized trunks, their trunks do not match the size of the Challenger, which sets it apart from the pack in terms of practicality. Inside the Challenger's trunk, we see we have a plentiful amount of space. FCA has done a wonderful job in this generation, the only latest generation of the Challenger, by pushing out the cargo all the way to the sides. So you can put a milk gallon here, eggs over here, and a couple suitcases. There's really no excuse why you wouldn't be able to fit a majority of stuff for a two-person trip. So I think in that aspect, the Challenger does really good. Before we wrap up on the outside, there are a few things that I want to go over on the key aspect. The key right here is the generic FCA key that they use on almost all their products. But in the case of this Challenger RT, it's not even the top line, but we get a power trunk or tailgate, as well as something that I really am a fan of, which is remote start. Especially when you have a nice sounding car like this, you want remote start. You never know when you want to start it, you know, surprise some people with your Challenger. So speaking about that, let's hear that exhaust note. First approach this Challenger RT, so you don't actually have to press it, even though it does have keyless access. All you need to do is keep this key in your pocket, put your hand under the door handle, and it unlocks and gives you access to your cabin, which we'll go explore next. First, hopping in the Challenger RT, the materials are actually very nice for this mid $30,000 price tag, which with market adjustment you can get down under $30,000. Coming over to the door panel over here, we see we have the door handle down here, which is something I've always liked on the Challenger. It's something different. Everybody else put the door handle up here, and I think it's quite interesting that Challenger decided to put it down here since the very beginning, which is something we're getting more into the modern car industry is integrating the door handles better with the cabin. I think Dodge really started that back in the early 2000s when this car came out. Climb in here and we get over the door. We got to close the door in order to get started in this vehicle. So once you shut the door, it has a very electronic sound, mainly because of the windows. But moving on down to the door panel, we have a cloth material here which feels really cheap, and same thing with the soft touch plastic up here. It feels really outdated and really cheap. So I think Dodge really has some work to do here in order to keep it competitive with the Mustang and Camaro. But coming down here, we have power windows and power locks, which you come to expect in a modern car, but they're both auto, which is a lot of companies don't do that, and I really think they should, because it's simple software and it improves the convenience of the consumer by a significant degree. But power windows, no memory windows, which is something that I would like to see in this car, but it's not a deal breaker. Space in general, this Challenger does not disappoint. We have plenty of space to spread out over here. There's plenty of headroom, there's plenty of legroom, and I think anybody of a similar 5'10" frame should have no problem getting comfortable in this vehicle. First, getting into this cabin, everything is off once you get in. So in order to start it, let's go ahead and get it fired up. The fire up tone is always good when you have a 5.7 liter V8, but let's get into the electronics, which is a very key part in any modern car. Just coming here to the gauges, they're very easy to read, and I've always liked that the Challenger has these 3D type gauges, and I think that's really unique to this car compared to the Mustang, which is going digital. I think in a muscle car you want these type of old school gauges, which is pretty awesome. The steering wheel in general, I love this steering wheel. The grips on it are almost perfect for any type of driving, especially in this car. You're going to do some probably high performance driving or drag racing. I think the grip on this is amazing. Now coming over here to the paddle shifters, they're very flimsy and very cheap feeling, and they only cover about this much area behind the steering wheel. You want it to go all the way down. So coming to the steering wheel in general, we have the media controls over here and we have cruise control over here. I am disappointed that this car does not come with any type of adaptive cruise control. In any 2020 car that costs more than $30,000, I expect to see some type of driver assistance, adaptive cruise control. But in this old of a platform, I mean, it should be excused, but I still think I would like to see it. We get to this head unit. Coming down here, we have a very easy layout. So we have our main media controls up here, as well as our sport mode, screen off, traction control, which I would not recommend ever turning off the traction control in this car. But coming down here, we have the AC controls very easily laid out, up, down, you know, defroster, everything, automatic cruise control, automatic climate control, my bad, which is, you know, a good to have, which a lot of these muscle cars don't have. We have AC button, recirculate, pretty generic stuff. Another thing that I'm quite happy about in general is this shifter. So Mustang still has its shifter, but it just feels like any generic Ford shifter, just like the Camaro has the same problem. In this, there's a sense of you're doing something, and you hear it in the exhaust as well, which I think just having this type of manly shifter just goes well with this car. Before we finish up, we got cup holders here, which again adds to that practicality aspect of this car, which I think this is the most practical muscle car you can buy. Now coming over to the center console, there's ample amount of space in there. We have a couple USB ports, an aux jack, and a 12 volt. I think that's what you need in a car in this day and age. Things that this car has that a lot of other cars don't is a little bit of gimmicks to it. So if you look in center console, actually, it says Dodge Brothers. If you know anything about Dodge history, there were the Dodge brothers, obviously, that created this car. Well, not this specific one, but the Dodge brand in general. So I think just adding that type of specialness to a car when you buy it, just seeing the Dodge brothers, some heritage to this car, I think that's very important to making the customer feel special about what they're buying. Before we wrap up the video, we have this very small feeling 6-inch Uconnect head unit. So once you go through here, it's very easy to use. It's just like any other Uconnect display, but I would prefer the larger 8.4-inch display. And FCA makes it very clear that you did not go for the 8.4-inch display because there's gray plastic cheap feeling bezels everywhere here. Now this material down here feels very nice and looks very nice, but I think the 8.4-inch should just come standard on any Challenger above $30,000 because a lot of its competitors already offer an 8-inch at that price. But in general, this system is very easy to use if you know anything about Uconnect. It's very simple. Uconnect 5 should be making its way into these cars pretty soon, but it comes with Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, everything you would really need, and there's nothing else I can really ask for from this car. Before we wrap up on this 2020 Challenger RT, I want to give a shout out to Union City, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram for providing this vehicle for this review, as well as Alexander Horgan in sales, whose information will be in the description below. If you need any type of Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, or Ram, new or used, be sure to give him a call. He'll be able to hook you up with a wonderful deal. And this car's here. It's ready to be sold, so one of y'all buy it. Alright, well, subscribe, like, and comment to the video, and I appreciate y'all for watching. See you guys in the next video.